This week, I am in the throes of rereading one of my favorite spiritual books, Story of a Soul, which is the autobiography of Saint Thérèse of Lisieux. We have a book club at our church, which is really awesome. So we get together once a week, usually for about a month. We go through a book, and one of our formation directors chooses the book for us, and we have an opportunity to read through it and discuss with other Catholics what we're reading. And up to this point, I have not had a reread. This is the first time in this book club that I've had a reread, and it was so great and so inspiring to be encouraged to pick up this book again. And I have been reminded why I love it so much. So Saint Therese came to me several years ago. She kind of sought me out like she will do. A lot of people have a similar story, and I'll spare you all the details. But basically, I really felt called to pick up her autobiography and start reading it. And at this time in my spiritual journey, I was a faithful Catholic, going to Mass every week, trying to pray every day, but really, I hadn't unlocked what it was that I was missing in my spiritual life. And this was the first time that I read any of the writings of the saints. And for some reason, up to this point, I had believed that the saints were far too theological, far too spiritual, way out of my league, and I couldn't possibly read them. Like, they are all like super overwhelming. Now, I will tell you that to date, I have tried to read many, many saints, especially from the very early church, that I cannot get through. I struggle. Like, the words are just not in my regular vocabulary. I'm looking up the words. Sometimes it's a bad translation. Sometimes it's just that what they are talking about is honestly just way above me. So that experience has happened, but that was not my experience with Therese. Therese is such a down to earth person. And as I read through her story, the two big takeaways I took the first time through were, one, that her holiness looks very, very ordinary. Like, when you read through the stories and her experiences, it is very normal things. She grew up, she had sisters, she struggled in her family, she was trying to figure some stuff out. And then the second is that her writing is not difficult at all. Therese really, really embodied this beautiful spiritual childhood. And I feel like that comes across on the page too. And she doesn't write in big words. She was not super well educated. I mean, she had an education, but she was not, getting PhDs in theology or any of that sort of stuff. It is all very, very accessible language that anyone, like my kids, could pick up and read and completely understand everything that she said. And by the end of the book, I felt like Therese had written that book for me, and she was speaking directly to me. It was very powerful. And of course, for those of you who know about my Adventures with the Saints children chapter book series, she is the featured saint in my second book. Which of course is a really, really special book for me. And it's so special that I get to introduce her to young readers. But today, I love that I'm getting to talk about her and maybe introduce or reintroduce or inspire some of you guys to get to know Therese better. Because so we were at our book club on Monday night. So we're about halfway through the book and we are talking. And one of the other gentlemen who was there at the book club, he was talking about Therese and how holy she was and all of these things that she did. And he just kind of sighed and said, oh, like, if only one day I could be a saint like her. Like, if only I could do that holiness. I mean, I could try it for a couple days, maybe a week, but I mean, I couldn't be holy. Like, I can't be a saint like that. And this comment got me so riled up. I got on a little bit of a soapbox, as I will do sometimes, because more than any other saint that I have personally encountered and read and know well, Saint Therese teaches us and shows us through her really, really simple life that literally anyone can be a saint. And the way that Saint Therese does this is by trusting completely in God, like complete childlike abandonment to the Lord. She just knows that He is going to take care of everything, and she just keeps trying. And she fails all the time. I was telling them in the book club, one of the things I love about Therese, and this is a weird thing to say, but she's not incorrupt. we have examples of all of these really, really holy saints who lived these absolutely virtuous lives, and the Lord has preserved their body on earth so we can see their body. But that was not the case for Therese. She was not perfectly virtuous. She was not perfectly holy. What she had was perfect trust and abandonment to the Lord. And every time she messed up, every time she sinned, every time she fell short, she would just sigh and say, well, Jesus, you know that I'm a child. You know that I'm weak. You know that I am not worthy. So I need you to pick me back up and help me. And she relied on the Lord to get her to the great heights of holiness. And one of the ways that she knew that she was going to be a saint is because more than anything else in her life, she desired to be a great saint. And so when I sign off every week from you guys, I call myself just a sinner in the throes of trying to be a saint. And I mean that literally. I also want to be a great saint. That is my greatest desire. And the Lord has given me that desire because He gives us our good desires. And He doesn't give us those desires to be unfulfilled, but rather to fulfill them in our life. And so I would like to encourage you to really spend some time this week and think about, number one, do you want to be a saint? And if you don't want to be a saint yet, then you can pray for that desire to grow, because maybe you're still feeling so rooted in the world that the desire of being really holy is too scary and too intimidating. And so we can pray for that desire if we don't have that. But then if you have that desire, do you trust that the Lord will fulfill that desire in you? And if you don't have that level of trust yet, then that's what you should be praying on. And my final thought about Thérèse is this portion of her book that I shared with this gentleman on Monday night when he was saying, I can't be holy and I can't do it. And of course, this is a Maria Riley paraphrase, so excuse me because it's not a direct quote. But Thérèse had a period in her life where she was waiting to enter the convent, and she knew she was going to, but she couldn't yet. And she felt like that time was a great, great struggle in her life because she so desired to be in the convent. And so she had 3 months. And so what she says is that she decided to make the most out of those 3 months by offering all of these sacrifices and penances for the Lord. And then she goes on to say, but not the great penances like the saints, not the mortifications, like, things like extended fasting or any sort of physical mortifications, where you're like hurting yourself or going barefoot or putting rocks in your shoes. I've heard about holy people who will sleep without a pillow or sleep on the ground every once in a while, take cold showers. There are all of these really, really great holy mortifications that people can embrace in. And Therese is like, that's not my way. And I so identify with that because, I am weak and I don't want to really do any of those things either. And so what she says is her penances and the small sacrifices that she's going to make are things like holding her tongue if somebody says something rude or dismissive to her, and just little kindnesses for people here and there. And that's all she did. All she did was, if someone was rude to her, she didn't say anything back. She probably just said a little prayer for them in her head. And she would just see other people and think, what kind of little thing could I do for them? So that might be something as simple as, noticing that somebody's water cup is empty and just filling it up, or, giving a hug to someone who looks like maybe they're down, or sending a text message to somebody that you haven't heard from in a while and just let them know that you're thinking of them. Like these little kindnesses, these little tiny things make up what we now call St. Therese's little way, the little way to great holiness. And through this, you also can become a great saint, just like me. So believe it, have faith, know that the Lord has given us these desires to be holy and to be great saints. And that is exactly what we are going to do as long as we continue to trust in Him completely and abandon ourselves to Him and try in the littlest ways we can possibly think of. That's all I have for you today. I'm Maria Riley, just a sinner in the throes of trying to be a saint.